if you frame it that way, it does sound pretty bad. But a lot of people will embrace that and say, actually, this is pretty cool because I matter. And what I'm doing makes a difference. So I think giving as much room as to high performers as possible to crush it. Give them learning and development opportunities that are extracurricular. Recognition. Give them power. Bring them inside the tent on things you're thinking about so that they see that they're a thought partner. So there's informal authority there that they have influence on. The right person will steward that with maturity. The wrong person will give you a tell that they're the wrong person because they'll say, look, I talk to Rachel all the time. We talk. And it's like, wrong person.
Have you ever lost a top performer? Like when you're a CEO, did you lose someone you didn't want to lose? So
as a CEO, no. We've lost top performer at Alpine. Isaiah was top performer. So I'm not trying to be impressive. I don't remember losing a top performer. We did fire a lot of people though, so we're not against that. You know.
Ideally fire everyone.
Ideally fire, but it's pretty much a takeaway. Yeah, because it's just your weighting changes, and I only have 3 people who have to like me, so then I'll get a higher NPS.
So another sort of iteration on that question. So you talked about giving people a hill to climb, or like a business engine. You guys faced a lot of adversity, and you got your powder team. When you climb that hill or you start winning, then how do you keep people striving for the next thing?
Yeah, you got to find a new hill.
Yeah,
I mean,
and how do you
really
make that like emotionally compelling?
Well, I always tired of inventing all the new hills, like, and stressing about, oh my gosh, what's going to be the next hill? Like, I'm out of hills. These people need a thing. What's the next thing? And I would stress about that. I still a little bit do stress about that sometimes, but I think I've changed in the sense that I really want the team animated, not just by the hill, but by just the endeavoring to be great, which is why I use that language. I want to work with people who are endeavoring to be great, and those people will find a hill. We will find a new hill, and the hill doesn't matter. Just the fact that we're taking it is what matters. Like, we're taking it, and that's the cool part. So that takes you off the hook from being the hill inventor person, and having some faith. I think that it will unpack itself, and you'll figure something out when you get there. And if you're truly, like, pragmatically, if there are no hills, then, probably we should be selling the business, I guess. Although we should probably be selling it a year before that. Right?
There's one hill left.
Yeah. There's plenty of runway left in the business. Are you kidding me? At least 11 months, so we get on with it right now. That probably sounded like a cop-out answer.
No, it's helpful.
But it's a real, it's a framing that I think works in my delusional world. Part of what Julia said yesterday was, remember she was saying, like, she was talking about optimism and positivity, and she used the word delusional in that, and everyone laughed. Did you hear that? When she said that, I wasn't laughing. I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, oh, that was funny. Yeah, that's right. But, like, that's true. Because, the single trait that successful people have in common more than any other trait is optimism. You have to know that things are futile and be determined to make them otherwise. And I think that's a great quality, By the way, part of meticulous observation, pay attention to what people say exactly. You guys take notes, you write down what the customer says, word for word. That's always a good thing to do. I love that habit. I was watching during the video, I was looking around the room and watching people's faces, and Julie was tormented. Absolutely. You guys saw it too, right? Yeah. Didn't you make a comment about somebody? Or
the guy did.
Well, the guy did. Tormented. We haven't talked a lot about customer, primarily because building a high-performance team is crushing your employee NPS, and that's where it starts, and all good things flow from that. But But as a CEO, like one thing I want to get out there is if you're not spending 80% of your time on revenue and your team, you're on the wrong stuff. So like customers, revenue, team. Customers, revenue, team. And don't be an ops guy. Like some of us have tendency, I'm an engineer, like tendency to be a little bit of an ops guy, like how's the box wired? Let me go and wire that box for you. And Business Engine had a huge problem with this. And I had a mentor at the time that said something which I now say to people, which is doing the right things is way more important than doing things right. So doing the right things is way more important than doing things right because, of course, we all want to do things right. Excellence and execution matters a lot. But it's more important that you pick the right things, and you can get wrapped around the axle being an ops guy and wiring everyone's box, and that's just a really bad way. It's also a tell that you have the wrong leaders, because really good leaders won't let you do that. You know, like if I'm working for Laura and you're trying to wire the box, I'll be like, sorry, wait, what? No. Like, let's talk about what hill we're going to take. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the box. I got the box. You know, so I don't know why I just said that. I just wanted to get that out there.
What have you found?
Public service announcement.
What have you found counterintuitive? Like, what were your expectations coming in that it turned out to?
I have a few attitudes. One thing we talked about. Oh yeah. What is that?
Sorry. Looks like an osprey.
Yeah, it does look like an osprey.
Yeah.
I have the same habit, having not served, but having a father who's a fighter pilot.
Yeah, so
I have the same
That was
habit.
an inappropriate distraction.
Totally inappropriate, but worthwhile at the same time. So don't be nice. You know, like leadership is not being nice. I think that's a counterintuitive. Always you be kind and gracious and respectful as a human being, of course. But like endeavoring to be nice is a value destroying thing. Like you need to be real, and the whole span of human emotions comes to play when you're real. And nice is one of them. When nice is what's called for, and tough love is another thing that happens, or empathy, or insistence, or whatever. There's all kinds of different things. But to me, being nice and being liked is not really a thing. You want your people to follow you. So followership is a thing, but to me, nice is not. What else did I have on that list? Don't try to be in control. Sorry, I'll hit a few quick ones. I think I'm doing what the SEAL guy did. He gave these like long answers, like shut up, dude. Don't try to be in control. Control is a total illusion. Just wait till you're a parent of teenagers. Do performance previews, not reviews. You know, that's the feed forward thing we talked about. I think that's a counterintuitive. Think of that. Imagine, because you've done those little 2-minute nuggets of feedback after the phone call, that then you're in the 1-hour review, and 15 minutes of it is, yeah, so here's the year, yeah, that's right, okay, yeah, the thing to work on, yeah, we talked about all that, okay, got it. Let's talk about where we're going for the next 45 minutes. Like, where are you going for the next year? And so you totally change the conversation and weight it towards that. This is way more inspiring, right? No one wants to sit in the principal's office and just get jacked up by feedback. So, don't conform. Conformity is a recipe for mediocrity. So find your own unique way to be a disconformist, or if that's the word, nonconformist. It could just be your language. I prefer casual language. I prefer casual. That's my. So the more formal the language is, the more I like kind of distrust it. Don't always make it look like you're on top of things. Be vulnerable. Acknowledge and celebrate disagreement. It's one of my favorites. How fascinating. Like, we don't see it the same way. And just like, let that sit for a second. That's pretty cool. All right, so what are we going to do with that? You know? Which is hard for me, because I'm going to be like, fight or flight, man. I'm in there. Those are some quick ones.
Mark, I got a question for you. So this may be pretty unique to my situation at Clio and the team that I work with, but you know, Mesh has the tendency, and Matt and I talked about this yesterday, has a tendency to like get really excited about strategies.
Yes.
A lot of them. And, and they sort of fall on me to implement, and I admire how he's so experimental and he's so smart, but he's okay with not following through on strategy sometimes, and I have a really hard time with that. So there I am juggling 20 different strategies that he's trying to roll out. But the question really is, how do I satisfy his desire to be experimental without diluting the direction that I give, the other leaders in the company to try to adopt certain strategies? So I find myself like parsing between pieces of different strategies and trying to make something more palatable for people to act on. But
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you said that to him just like you did, very, very thoughtfully?
Probably in a softer way, maybe less directly.
Maybe say it directly would be better, because that'd be a great place to begin, because this is a hard question and it's a great question, and I know exactly, I see you in that mode, and I've been that guy. I haven't had to implement, but I'm on the board trying to be like, okay, one big thing, not 17 big things with 4 sub-bullets.
Right.
So he, the way you just said that was very direct, but very thoughtful and respectful. If you just said that exact thing to him, that would be the first step. And then say, so help me, I want to serve you. I want to serve the people that I'm turning and facing after we have a meeting. And frankly, I'm having trouble doing both at the same time. How would you approach that? So turn it into advice. He's coaching you on a problem that is of his creation. That's where I would go. In fact, if you do that, you're home free already. It won't be like magically it makes it easy, but it will be that he now has awareness, like, oh, right. Well, I guess maybe we do need to be careful about that. And
Right.
I think that's where I would go. This is a bigger thing, which is, and I wasn't in the conversation you had, but I love when people are direct. And I catch myself not being direct. I'm like, damn it, Mark, say it. Like, what are you doing? The greatest form of respect and courtesy you can pay someone is to tell them the direct truth. It's all anyone wants is what's expected of me, know where I stand. So I would do that.
Yeah, that's helpful. Definitely on the Mahesh side. Then how about on the delivery side to like the other leaders and like, hey guys, we got another thing coming up.
Yeah, right.
And how do I think? What's your perspective on ensuring I get buy-in continuously?
Well,
as we pile on more things.
First of all, I think how successful you are on thing 1 is going to make your job in thing 2 easier. Like with Mahesh, I would say, hey, we've got an exit horizon. And so let's actually think of all the beautiful things for the next 12 months, and let's put them all in one plan. Let's not do this. Like, let's survey the thing. We got 12 months. What are we going to put in that box? Because the box is that big.
Right.
And so start with that and force him into a box. Then when you go to the team, you're only going because there's a change order in the box, not because the box has infinite capacity, because it doesn't. And I think the team will respect you for having a tough conversation upstream so that it's an easier conversation downstream. I think then once you do, you got to use humor. Like when it's like, okay, listen, but here's why this is important. And actually, we're going to learn something really important. In fact, this is a really good idea, and it is different than idea 1. And who cares? How fascinating! We're doing this.
And is it fair to also have like a deprioritization? In other words, like something's got to give. Assuming the box is full,
sometimes.
Come to them with, okay, this is now at the top of your list, and let me anticipate your question. This is what now moves down the list.
Totally. And then you can feed that back to Mahesh and say, good news is we can do this. Bad news is it's going to break this other thing. Are you okay with that? And that becomes a very real trade-off that Mahesh can make. So again, he's sort of having to deal with that. I like that.
You ever hear the Pixar popsicle sticks thing?
No.
It's in that Pixar book. They have to, if they want to get a new project, they have all the work weeks up on a big wall, and they're little popsicle sticks. And if you want someone to work on the project, you've got to go and tell someone you're taking their popsicle sticks and put it in your box. And you have to actually physically negotiate that.
Yeah.
So I just love the idea of actually making it physical. Like, hey, you can add this thing, but understand that you're losing popsicle sticks, right?
Something's got to go.
Yeah.
That's really important in the product realm too, in particular.
Yeah.
And Business Engine software, what we sold was the popsicle stick.
Yeah.
Obviously online, it was a portfolio management applied to your $1 billion IT spend at Morgan Stanley.
I feel like you can earn trust too by going to those business unit heads, saying this is strategy, I get it, this is like your sixth strategy in 2 weeks. You know, how would you guys prioritize this? This one probably should be number 1 versus Mahesh, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, but then I can't do 2, 3, 4. And you say, all right, I got your back. I'll go back to Mahesh and let him know. And then when it deprioritizes, then they'll realize that you have their best intentions.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
I think followership is a theme, and you may have, forgive me if you asked this as I was outside, but Matt and I talk about this a lot, how you invoke followership, because I think the list is long, and some of them seem like small, kind of niche things, but end up having a lot of impact. And I'd love to just hear you kind of touch on a few of them. For example, like talking about someone who might be an analyst on our team when they're not in the room, just kind of like upping their credibility.
I like making business very personal, and so I do like to talk about the contribution that people are making. And so yeah, the habit that Shelby's talking about is compliments. You know, some people, there's 2 schools, right? It's like, hey, compliments are free capital, use them. The other is use them sparingly so they have value, right? And I think there's some truth to both of those things. But I think one of the things that you can do as a leader is to show your authentic caring is when you're talking to Shelby, compliment Laura. You know, not like, oh, I'm complimenting Laura, I'm going to put a niche on, you know, like a little check mark in my little spreadsheet. It's like you just are in the habit of doing that because you're building these, I don't know, you're building a sense of team when you do that, I think. So that is a habit that I like doing. And I think people just deserve more credit because we're all toiling away, and it's not a very glamorous career. We're not in entertainment. We're not professional athletes, and you know, it's I think, but we're doing important work. So that's one thing. I think followership is a great word to have in your vocabulary. What are you doing about your unique personality or your unique style of leadership that's creating followership? All of you I would follow. And the reason I can say that without hesitating is that was one of my tests in the recruiting process. So all of you, I have had a hand in recruiting, I think, every single person in here, including you and Shelby. I recruited Lori a long time ago. I think the thing was, would I work for this person? Would I work for Celeste? What about Celeste would get me to say, okay, where you're leading, I'm following. And you're also different, but there's an answer in every one of you, and the key is to tap into knowing what that is, be self-aware, to say, okay, here's what I bring to the table. And I don't need to be Jack Welch, I don't need to be Michael Jordan, I don't need to be Steve Jobs, it's going to be Steve Reardon, and here's what Steve Reardon brings. And I think pay attention to that and harvest that, and one of the greatest compliments you'll ever be paid is that people like working for you. Because it doesn't even feel like they're working for you, they feel like they're working with you. So that's a little bit about followership. I don't know if that's helpful, but
Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What else does Mark do to invoke followership?
What do you do? You're
Or
very
anyone,
good at
like
this.
if you...
You're
What did Mark do to invoke? You can deflect your question. Just go to Shelby. I think you inspire confidence in people, right? Like there's imposter syndrome everybody gets because we as a philosophically put people over their skis in every role at Alpine and at the portfolio company level, and there's an I got your back thing, which is how it says when I know that Mark paid me a compliment to you and like he's like moves that into my corner, but then there's an ability to like, you know, to see somebody, and no matter who they are, and like talk to them about who they are and why they're going to be successful doing that. And like I think that's an important part. You can't just put them up on the stool. You got to provide them with the self-confidence to go take that hill, and you do it well.
Well, thank you for saying that. I feel like we should talk about my weaknesses because
I got that one too.
You got that one.
I think
let's ask some of the people who work with me very closely what my weaknesses are.
I think it's when you find yourself not being direct I know you love that, but if you let that go, people feel managed, right? Because you're so incredibly persuasive that it happens. And so if you, it goes back to the don't be nice piece. Like anytime that happens, there's a feeling of managed, which is not a good thing on this team.
And I've gotten that, like, there's several people in this room have given me the gift of that feedback. And I know who they are, and they know who they are, and they have totally blessed me with that, because I don't want that. Like, that's the last thing I want. And one of the person knows that's the last thing I want, and said, so ironically, like, you hate when people do this to you. Dude, stop it. And, oh shit, was I doing that? Okay, I don't want to do that. That's when, you know, I'm a D, I communicate directly, I want to win, but I care about people, and if I don't get that chemical balance right, that sucks. And the one to err on is just be more direct, because you know, like, that's the way you should be.
Which is pretty incredible to think back. You're like the most direct person, one of them I know, and yet there's still that.
Yeah, totally.
There's still the gap that emerges.
I am too impatient. So the last 20% of any project I'm bad at. When I presume the details won't change the outcome, I'm ready to like go on to the next thing, and that can be frustrating to people.
Did we shift to weaknesses? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Not like followership.
No, this is weaknesses.
Okay.
Well, part of followership is like be real and know your weaknesses. You
We've
know?
got the minutes from the ASG meeting.
Yeah, that's right. This may take a while. I think we're running out of time.
I should vote humor right there. Well done.
Yeah. Well, one other weakness I just want to get out there that I have is I do like contrarian thinking too much, and it can cause me to miss an obvious pattern that the rest of people are subscribing to. So if the room wants to go this way, my first move is like what's over here? Because there's distinction over here, and I want to be distinct. But sometimes if you do that just to do that, you're missing like the obvious, well, why are the people over here? Because there's a fire over there, you dumbass. Like, don't walk in there. So that's another weakness. I mean, a lot more weaknesses than that. I feel very lucky to just do this. I feel very self-conscious about having the attention on me because where I'm at in my job and my career is you guys are the hero of the story, and I sort of feel indulgent up here. So I hope that's not how it came across. I hope that there was real value here. You all have been leaders of a lot of things, life and death things, companies. So like I kind of just want to go back to my original caveat, which is maybe you knew everything I just said and I was just confirming what you already knew, and that's fine. But I think it's not so much what you know, what you don't know. It's just being reminded about these things. You know? So I'm humbled. You know, thank you for letting me sit up here and opine like I'm some kind of expert, which just means I made every possible mistake in a narrow field. Are you recording this?
Yeah.
I've cursed like 10 times. That's another weakness.